Good turnaround Tuesday, everybody. How you doing, Brock, Kevin, Ren, Michael Trollin? Nice to meet you. How are you, Money? Okay, so looking at EG right here after this false breakdown here and pretty powerful move here. To me, it looks like we're just moving sideways, consolidating this gain, trying it here on the long side. We start breaking over 90. This was about a 140 pip move here. So 140 over 90 is going to take you to 91.40, protecting it with an 89.05 stop. So there's a 4 hour, and the target would be the high of the wedge up here. Okay, that's about 91.40. Any questions on that? So another turnaround Tuesday trade that I'm considering, we're not quite there yet, is the yen at 61.8 on the 15-minute. We're about to get a little mini 3 drive here. See this? 1, sideways, 2, above 30, and maybe another 8-10 pips lower down here. And give it a shot, and that'll be at 61.82. So if this was real, this is a pullback zone. I know a lot of people think the yen is just forget about it, right? But I'm going to try it. Yields are lower, and that could be because of what's going on in S&Ps. But I still have to give the long side the benefit of the doubt as long as we're holding this, 78, 75 level, that there could be some more upside. And I'll wrap it with this NASDAQ. So I talked about yesterday the off number being 12,100 and change. Now it looks like they're rotating because of COVID back into the stay-at-home stocks, but the high last night was 12,094, so very close to the 2-week off number and was rejected. I would say if S&Ps recover, that we could still maybe press up towards, 12, 130, even 78.6 here, but pretty negative day that we're getting in S&Ps, and also kind of possible that what we're getting is A, A, B, C, B with a C to the downside. So we'll see. Uh, Also, Dixie, you know, uh, looks like we're going to challenge some important areas here. I keep wanting to look for a low. I don't see it here today. And everything I look at, even though I want to think there's a low coming, it's not giving me a reason to buy it. I'd prefer, when you look at the dollar compared to US dollar yen, it's like a lot more relative strength here in the yen than the dollar. And this ties in. I'm surprised gold isn't doing a little better today with the yen still under pressure. I'm still trying to be patient for a move back up into these levels, maybe this 1920, 1910, 1920 for a sell. I'm not buying it here either. And I think that's about all I have to say for right now. Yeah, Bitcoin is killing it. I guess there's some news out of the regulators in the UK where they're, talking about leverage and not going to allow retail traders to leverage up over there. That's all I know about Bitcoin this morning. So I think that's about it. Silver, since last Monday's vaccine news, it's been stronger than gold. And oil, maybe we have a failing rally here in oil after this high the move. I think Blake called it a false breakout, and we're not able to get back above this line either. I just noticed this. So I think that's about all. Any questions on anything that I covered today? This kind of just looks like a flag is why I went for it. And Blake says it's one of his favorite formations. We'll see if it's a flag. Could just distribute and break too. Okay. So thanks everyone for being here. You know what you need to consider. And, I did some research yesterday going over what our team thought about different markets. It's really an advantage. It gave me pause on some things and gave me more conviction on other things. So really consider joining us. Dr. Copper. Yeah, I haven't been watching it, but last time I looked at it, it looked like we could get that we were putting in some type of divergent high here. Here it is. Uh-huh. Yeah. Could be. I don't like that we confirmed here, curve. See this? So I can't fade it when I have almost an 80 RSI reading. That's my discipline. Now, if we start making some new highs in copper and the RSI stays under 70, that's a different story. But this looks like a confirmed high to me. I don't fade confirmed highs. Hope that helps. Well, it depends. It depends on what I've had for dinner. Natural gas. So anyway, my digestive system isn't what it used to be since I had, a surgery that took cut out half of my guts. Okay. Anyway, how are you, Stel?
Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
I'm good. Blake's going to be slightly late, so I'm going to take over for the big.
Oh, cool. All right, man.
I'm going
to. Maybe we could get EG to cooperate for you. Oh, yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Start off with the star of the show. Yeah.
You talked about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
For people who have been Forex Analytics subscribers, we have talked about Bitcoin quite a bit here on Face and also in the chat room. I had been looking at this weekly chart for ages. We broke out in July. This was after COVID, after all these measures and trillions being pumped in. And we said, look, I personally don't really understand Bitcoin. I know what it is, but you know what I mean? I don't have the conviction to trade it.
But you could look at a chart and have an opinion.
Yes, and people who were asking me, and my macro bikes in Forex Analytics changed to bullish just after above 10,000 when this got broken. And I said, look, inflation is coming everywhere, asset inflation, not reported inflation. So if you want to own something that might be indexed to that, then yeah, Bitcoin, why not? I personally don't want to own it, but I don't see why others shouldn't. And I said, look, people who were asking me, I said, I think it's going up. End of story. And look what it's done. And actually, you mentioned it today, Bitcoin. A couple of hours ago, I changed my bias back to neutral now. We've hit this 78.6. It's been a huge run, almost vertical. I think we're probably due for a correction now. On a macro basis, it's very difficult for me to have a firm view because, again, I don't really understand enough of it. But hey, it's an asset that's in theoretically limited supply. I say theoretically, I know there's only 17 million of them, but you can make any other coins you want. So theoretically it's limited, practically probably not. But in the long run, I think it's going higher. End of story. Unless governments decide that it's and banks decide that it's too big of a threat, and they start taxing it and banning it and doing whatever they want. So that's a different story. But as I said, my bias has changed to neutral now. I think we're probably due for a correction. But man, what kind of move this was!
Yeah.
It was huge. DXY is very interesting. The dollar. I've been looking at this weekly chart for ages, and look, we're trying to break lower, but we're not yet. If we do break above, that's going to be a false breakout. I see easily 98, maybe 100, purely on positioning. Everybody hates the dollar at the moment, but I think medium term we're going lower. And remember, again for Forex Analytics members, my bias changed to bearish around the 100 mark or 99 or something like that. And I think we're going lower in the medium term, but short term, obviously, who knows? I think we're probably due for a spike at some point, the dollar spike, because it just keeps grinding and grinding now. But we either go straight down or we do a nice little bump higher where I'm going to be looking to sell for sure. What else? We didn't have any. We didn't have any real news overnight. We're still running on yesterday's COVID vaccine news. Although equity markets are down today a little bit, I think the market's still in relative euphoria phase. I kind of expect it to keep going a little bit more. But now we're getting close to the point where we're pricing a lot of stuff in. And you ask people, you ask analysts, they say, yeah, first quarter of 2021, there's going to be a vaccine, it's going to be distributed, it's going to be working. I hope it's right. But when you get to the point also, Trump hasn't officially, admitted defeat, although he did write that tweet that said Joe Biden won because ... But the market again is also kind of pricing that it's going to be a relatively straightforward transfer of power from Trump to Biden. So there's a few question marks. If you ask me, I think the market's probably going to keep edging higher. I mean, equities at the moment, but there's going to be at some point a correction. I think that's unavoidable. You had also Tesla entering the S&P. It's up like 12% pre-market. Airbnb IPOing. So there's lots of reasons for equity bulls and risk assets to be happy. So we see how that goes. But otherwise, we didn't have that much data overnight. We had HAG. I want to show gold as well. We had the Norway GDP, which came in slightly better than expected. Again, the magnitude of these moves and these readings, they're now huge. So 4.8 I think versus 4.4% expected. It's a big difference, but really in terms of percentage of the print, it's not a lot. Silver and gold is something I'm looking very, very closely. You guys know this. We have these two zones here. This 26-ish, 27 and 21, 22. For silver, we're in no man's land at the moment. I am either going to buy a breakout, a convincing breakout, or I'm going to try and buy if we do get down to 21, 22. Brexit, still no news. We had government spokesman today saying we are trying hard to find a solution, but there remain some very important differences. We're running out of time, that's for sure. But I stand by my prediction that it's going to be somehow sorted one way or another. So, we'll see. We'll see about that. And Euro pound. This is what I had drawn. I hoped it would get to 92. It hasn't yet. Maybe we get one last hurrah if there is any kind of negative tweet or headline or something, but I doubt I'm gonna get that. So this is another trade I probably have missed, but it's okay to miss a trade than to chase it or to enter at the wrong place. I know I miss quite a few trades because of this thing that I do, but I just want to make sure I enter exactly where I want to enter. And like we said before, it's not a sin to miss a trade or to be wrong on something, but like Blake says, don't stay wrong. So that's I think that's very
nice
good
review,
advice.
bro. Oh,
and also Euro Norway. We don't cover it at Forex Analytics, but I really like it. I have been shorting this every time it spikes, I just short it. I was taking profits post-COVID. This spike here was ridiculous. I obviously didn't get any at 13, but I got some in the high 12s. And I've been shorting. I've been taking profits. I short on pretty much every spike. I still have a quarter of position on. This is not positive. It's still quite negative, but I've more than made up for that from those shorts from the
Oh,
highs.
you Norway lover.
Yeah, and I want to add more. Especially if we break above this 11, 17, 18, I'm gonna let it go. And if we get anywhere near 12, man, I'm gonna be all over that again.
So hey, thanks for covering today early. I had to just jump off my desk for a few minutes and deal with my animals. But thanks for catching us up. And
very nice review still.
Yeah, very, very good. We're gonna get into the the major currencies and go through analysis, but I have to say, the S&P, we're sitting above 3,600, and I was reading something from this Bank of America analyst just a moment ago. We have all these things to look forward to. You got Brexit possibly wrapping up. I don't know if you talked about that, Stelios.
Briefly, yeah.
Yeah, briefly. I mean, there might be a deal coming next week. You've got a new president incoming, which you could argue is good or bad. It's just more of knowing rather than not knowing, and it looks increasingly likely every single day that we might have a new president. You have seasonality taking hold. We're approaching that time of the year where markets catch a bid as we go into year end. So there's all these positives, but there's one thing that this Bank of America analyst had mentioned, that cash levels are near almost below 4%, which by the way, that is a number that gets really scary, because when it gets so low, it's almost a contrarian indicator where you have to say, okay, everybody's in the pool right now. You know what I mean? So I do get a little nervous when I read things like that I know I could give you 1,000 reasons why, markets should still go up, but we are at all-time highs, or we're near all-time highs. It seems like everybody's long. And is that a recipe for disaster? I don't know, but I think we've got to, like you said it earlier, Dale, before I had to step off my desk, you kind of got to give the market the benefit of the doubt right now, right?
Yeah, I think that we're peaking up here. So, and the rotating back, the rotation's vicious. So COVID news is worse. And if you notice, S&P's down 28 handles and NASDAQ basically unchanged. So the rotation we saw the last couple Mondays is being reversed today.
Yeah,
So
exactly. It's like, it is tough, because you're like, okay, look, we got vaccines coming. We could see the light at the end of the tunnel with COVID.
But we're still in the tunnel.
But we are still in the tunnel. We are. But do you start selling NASDAQ stocks or, high beta stocks, like the Amazons, the Netflixes of the world at this point? But you think, yeah, but right now NASDAQ's higher and actually S&Ps are lower. So it's interesting, and it's tough. We are just off of our highs. I have to say, while we're above 3,600, this is really key support, and that I'm going to cue into 3,600. We got to write that down as our support today on our bias chart, with resistance right now at 3,640, because I think if we break 3,640, we will we'll retest these highs here. Now, when you're talking about, and we have to put this in bullish. Remember yesterday I said we're going to flip bullish as long as we close above 3,600. We did close above 3,600, which, by the way, if you guys wondered why I closed out the patterns in play for Forex Analytics, it's because we closed above 3,600. I don't like the fact that we're holding up at these levels. And I was short some Aussie yen, covered it basically for a flat, and I was long some dollar Mexican peso, covered it for just a slight loss. But I am nervous with the equity markets holding up here. The great thing about being a trader is I can I can, re-enter relatively quickly. I don't have to worry about, getting out, getting in so much. So Dale, I didn't get your thoughts before I go into the markets here.
Okay.
You were talking a little bit about, I heard you talking a little bit about the euro sterling
Yeah.
coming off, and we're going to go into the into the pound, but right now the market is basically expecting some sort of Brexit deal by next week. So how do you rectify that with the euro sterling?
I'm just looking at the charts, and after the big recovery we had about a week ago, Blake, that basically we're just moving sideways. It looks to me like a consolidation of that 140-point move to the upside, and I'm just going with it. We've had a little pullback from the high of that move, and I think there's another leg that could take us, if we get through 90, back to about 91.50.
All
So
right.
I don't know how the news is going to play into it. I'm just, trading the chart.
All right. Well, that's great advice. And the thing I would say about the pound is, hold on really quick. Greg wanted to join today, so let him
Cool.
know he can come on in, I don't know, about 30 minutes. Maybe Steve would enjoy that. Or in about 25 minutes, I'll be done with the analysis. It looks like Gregor Horvat's going to join us today, which is good. All right. But I guess I wanted to say that right now it seems like everybody knows that there is a Brexit deal coming. So in my opinion, it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. I don't want to necessarily just short the cable should a Brexit deal get done, because you do want to know, what the details of this Brexit deal would be. However, my attention is going to be on, do we get a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event for the sterling after that. But let's talk about the FX majors, and let's get the analysis done this morning, since we do have Gregor Horvat coming in. So I got asked by a gentleman that used to be on the Zero Hedge team. He asked me about the euro last night, and he's like, "Hey, is the euro in breakout territory?" And I said, not while we're below 119. I'm not a big fan of being long the euro at current levels. I think that the euro is bullish, and I like to be long on dips. I just don't know if I really want to be long intraday at these levels. So for right now, 119.20 is going to be key resistance, and then obviously support. And you guys know that these lines have been drawn here for the last couple of days. We're basically knocking our head up against resistance. So let's just go ahead and write those down. 119.20. Support here is going to be at 117.60. All right, let's go into the sterling. So here's the sterling, and we were talking with Amanda in the chat room. She goes, "I think the pound can hit 133," and that is obviously we're getting really close to that, and I've got to assume that we can actually go further than that, especially with the idea that we might get a Brexit deal. I think we also have to pay attention if the euro breaks out. I mean, because the euro could, even though I'm a little nervous being long up here, that doesn't mean that we can't make a move for 120. So if you take the euro, and let's just say the euro makes that move towards 119.70, the 161% extension to match these range highs up here, that's entirely possible. And if that happens, does the sterling follow suit? And could it? And the answer to that question is yeah. I mean, we could test the underside of this trend line. We got a major multi-year trend line, by the way. If you look at the weekly chart, this is the descending wedge breakout point. So, we obviously need to be cognizant of that on any move above 135. We've known that for a long time. But for now, do I think that the cable could go higher? sure, why not? I mean, like I said, as long as the euro is going higher, as long as the dollar is moving lower, just in general, I think it's entirely possible. So, um, first resistance we need to pay attention to is going to be 133.10. That's the big level. And by the way, if you guys are new listening in today, we do this every day with the bias chart and these major currencies and major markets. We go through them just to make sure you have your levels written down, because for me, it's always great when I'm trading around the day, throughout the day, knowing exactly where the key support and resistance levels are and what the bias is for that specific instrument. Helps me tailor my trading throughout the course of the day. So that's why we all do it together. All right, support. I mean, we could write down support as being 132.30, but I'm more concerned right now with 131.70 on dips. Okay, the Aussie, we're right up against resistance here in the Aussie. And you guys have to pay pretty close attention to this, because if we break this horizontal resistance, we are going to test 74 cents. One of the things that you have to think about the Aussie and the Kiwi as well is we are above, pretty key trend lines here. You can see this is a weekly chart from, 2013. We're holding up and we're not selling off. And that's the thing I have to point out with the Australian dollar is it's holding up really well. Obviously 73.50 or 73.45 really is key. And then if we can breach that, didn't mean to do that. We'll trade up towards 74.15, 74 cent level. So just, again, keep an eye on the Aussie dollar. We're knocking our head right up against resistance here. Support for the Aussie is obviously down here at 72.40. I know we dipped slightly below that, but I think 72.40, 72.50 is still support. This is threatening to go bullish, by the way. We're still in a range, but Kiwi. So we drew out a little triangle yesterday. I think we got to draw this up more as a bullish wedge right now. Resistance is up at 69 cents, 69.20 or 69.15 actually. And I have to say, well, and this is true of yesterday and the last couple of days. While we're above 68 cents, there's no reason to be bearish. You guys know this is a big breakout point. So
Be back in a minute, Blake.
all right, thank you. I don't know
that's probably mine. Yeah, alert on
New Zealand yen,
Kiwi yen. Yeah,
got it. All right.
Buddy.
So we're above that resistance. Just keep that in mind, and it is bullish. Dollar Canadian. So the dollar Canadian, I'm still looking at this false breakdown. I was actually long, and I got out of it this morning when it was in the 70s. I took it off, but of course it pops up as crude oil falls. So I was a little worried about the dollar Canadian really not following suit yesterday, but here we are today. It's popping again. By the way, here's some hold on, UK news. UK is looking at how foreign aid budget is spent. That's from Slack. Hold on. Okay, so just seeing if there's any other really key comments coming out here on Bloomberg. Okay, dollar Canadian. So support for the dollar Canadian is 130.60. We're going to write that down right now. And matter of fact, I bet you that's about a 50% retracement if I had to guess. It's close. It's a 38%. It's close too. So actually, I'm going to write down 130.50. So even if we hit new lows, just realize there's a 50% retracement below there. So 130.50 and resistance is going to be up here at 131.80. That's what we need to get above in order for us to turn bullish, or from like for a squeeze. Right now we're keeping it in range because we had a false breakdown, a false bearish breakdown. So
Blake,
now we're
sorry
back
to
in range.
interrupt. We just had the retail sales out of the US and it was weaker than expected. Everything weaker across the board.
Wow. Okay. And by the way, that let's see, we have our calendar and our data flash. Let's pull that up. Wow. Weaker retail sales across the board. So
Revisions too.
yeah, and wow, the revisions are lower. Wow, look at all that. Now, with the weaker retail sales that you see, the question is going to be, do you think that now it's going to be more important than ever that a stimulus package is passed? You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
inquiring minds want to know. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Let's finish this up so I can let you guys take over. And thank you, Stelios, for the reminder. Let's go over to the dollar Mexican peso. So the dollar Mexican peso is, again, 2003, 2085. And for those of you that don't remember, this is the breakdown point is 2080. Well, it's 2084, but that is key. 20.84. Okay. And support. $20.3. Okay. And right now it really should be in a bearish trend right now, because while we're below that support, it is. That doesn't mean it can't rally this morning, but it is. Let's go dollar Swiss. We're almost back down towards this. We are down at 91 cents. This is support right here. Remember, we had we had typed out this as being support yesterday, right here. 90.85 is a 50%, 618, 90.60. Resistance is going to be 91.70. Oh, wow. The S&P is below 3,600, of course. So hold on. Watch the S&Ps here. And you guys have to excuse me 1 second.
Done.
Excuse me.
Done.
Okay. So watch the SPOOs here as we slip below this support. This is 3,600. Remember, this is key. I don't want to see the S&Ps below really at this 3580. We might play around with these levels, but let's watch the S&P here carefully. Let me finish up this analysis. US dollar, Norwegian krona. Should take us right back up toward remember, we were dealing with this 914, 915. Now we're challenging 920. This might actually be more of a consolidation here, like a triangle. To watch that kind of carefully. But anyway, 920 and then 896. We are in a range there. Dollar yen right here. So the dollar yen is slipping. We're at the 618 retracement. Be really careful being on the short side of this here because 104, this is 104, basically 12. That's the 618 retracement of this move from the low to the high here. So this is all support. Should probably write down 104. Okay. And then resistance will be back up at these spike highs here, which will be 105.12. But I'm obviously going to write down 105.60 because that's been real key resistance. But on rallies today, 105.10, 105.60, we are in a range. Dollar index. I think yesterday we wrote down 92.50. Let's see what caused this level of support. Looks like a 78% retracement, which it was. So we're gonna have to write down 92.30, and resistance intraday will be at 92.85. Whoops. And we are still in a range. While we're boxed into this level or into these into this range, we are still in a range. Gold. Last but not least. All right, so here's gold. And again, you guys know that the 38% retracement is right here, 1830. While we're above 1830 or 1838, you can't be bearish gold. I think gold is at risk of breaking down, but we're holding above the support. We're actually holding above 1848 right now. So 1838, which is a 38% retracement, is very key. And that's why I put the asterisk there. And then resistance, you know, we can't even get back above this 38% retracement, but really the 50% retracement comes in at 1907. Okay, and we are in a range. So here's your bias chart. I'm going to go ahead and leave you with that. And I know we have Greg coming. Steve probably wants to say a few things. Stelios wants to say a few things. But last thing I need to say is, guys, if you want to be part of the Forex Analytics community, and where this is where it all happens. This is our chat room. And you can see us just, I mean, I have to go back from this morning. And this morning, I didn't even post any charts because it was a slow morning up until, you know, I sat down. But you can see that's from this morning, from like when I got up at what, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, still going way back here. So that's our Forex Analytics community. If you want to be part of it, make sure you try us out. It's only $1 for 10 days. But if you want to try to get it for free for like 2 months, then 2 months, so like 4 months total through your trading, join Pepperstone Securities. They will, if you open a live trading account and you do some trades, you'll be able to get Forex Analytics for free for a period of time. Make sure you use this link here. You have to be outside the US, not in the United States or in Canada. So try them out. All right, Steve, Stelios, good morning, guys.
Good morning, Blake.
Good morning. How are you?
Hello again.
Hey.
Good. How have you been?
Good. I'm going to pass it over to you. I'm going to get to the market. I don't want to take any more of your time because I know Greg is going to come in today. And by the way, Grego Horvat, just so you guys don't know, if you don't know, he's the one who provides Elliott wave analysis for Forex Analytics. And he's a wonderful analyst. So I know you guys are all excited to hear him. So, Steve.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, Blake.
Thanks,
Hey,
guys.
Blake, take it
guys.
easy, man.
All right.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys.
All good here.
Scoliosis, as they say.
Scoliosis is, yeah.
Is Grega with us or not yet? I don't see him.
I don't see him either.
Okay, we have a few minutes then.
Okay, just right.
Braga told me he's having a hard time smelling and tasting his charts.
Okay, I
Smell
wrote. You wrote him as well. Yeah. So, well, I did talk in the beginning. I don't have that much more to add. We're still waiting for Donald Trump to admit defeat or to go to courts. One way or another, it's going to be sorted out. Vaccine news, we had that yesterday. Things are looking up, and as I said before, the people are, most analysts now predict first quarter of next year that there's going to be a vaccine that's going to start getting distributed. Obviously, people who need it most are going to get it first, but good news overall from Moderna and from Pfizer, and it just goes to show that when humanity really tries hard and cooperates, we can do big things. But as I said before, I think it's probably a little bit premature to say that everything's fixed, is perfect, and we're going to be a lot better than COVID started, which is crazy to think about, right? Remember, late 2019, we were already seeing signs of a global slowdown, and now suddenly
the repo market almost imploded to begin with.
Yeah, it's okay. We can forget about all that. Yeah, but anyway, I'm always a little bit cautious, and as I said before, if that means hey, Grega. Yeah, I was going to say, if that means I miss a few trades, I miss a few trades. It's okay. It's fine. All right, Grega, you are the man.
You never miss silver trade on the long side.
Well, I got one, which was good. It made my year so far. I hope I get another one.
Yeah. A while back, you said that if silver ever falls below 10, you will sell your house.
I mean that, but I don't think we're seeing that ever again. Yeah.
And he's going to be he's going to be able to buy soon afterwards, like, double the house.
I didn't say which house though.
That's true. A house. Grega, why don't you grab the screen, mate, and let's see what you have to show us.
Sure.
How are you feeling, by the way?
I'm fine.
In the up and up?
Yeah, we are good.
Everyone back to 100%?
Yeah, we
good.
We are good. So,
can you taste and smell your charts now?
Yeah, even better.
All right, buddy.
What about your wife?
You cracked me up, Dale.
Yeah, she is fine. Kids are fine. We are all.
Which
fine.
means that you have to start showering again now that she got her smell back.
Well, once per week at least.
and on your birthdays.
Okay.
Glad you and the family bounced back so quickly, bro.
Yeah, I hope everyone who have the same experience, I believe that they will recover pretty fast. It's more psychological impact than anything else, I assume.
Yeah.
But psychological impact is sometimes it's much more harder to go through than physical. So
on many occasions, yes. Of course, for some people that have huge underlying problems, it's not the case. But yes, for the vast majority of the population, that's indeed the case. So where do we start today, Grega?
Okay, let's begin with euro dollar.
Okay.
So my opinion so far
about to launch higher.
Yeah. My opinion did not change. I mean, we are just consolidating, as you know yourself. We are now trapped in this range for a while now. Clearly, it doesn't look impulsive from the highs. So I think this was a wave 4, and that we are continuing higher. I'm looking here for the next rise above 1.1920, and then I think that 1.2 is coming in play. In fact, we completed this recent retracement. Looks like it was a corrective movement, so I'm definitely looking for more upside here. But on the intraday basis, of course, there can be some pullbacks. Now the supports are at 1.1820 up to 1840 if we get a pullback here.
What's a bigger picture here in the Euro USD, in your opinion, Grega?
The big picture, I mean, I'm still observing two ideas. The first one is that this is maybe an extended wave C towards this 78.6% of this drop that we have seen back in 2018. But the other picture suggests that this could also be actually a 5-wave movement away from these 2020 lows, meaning that we could be headed towards much higher prices. But even after this wave 5 here.
By the way, my vote goes on count 2, I have to tell you.
Yeah, okay, it's very possible, probable. But I still think that even if when we breach to new highs, we should be aware of a 3-wave retracement. So in either case, once we are going towards, let's say, 1.200 around there, I think that there can be an ABC retracement or maybe even a drop in 5 waves. So in either case, after move to a new high, we should be aware of a slowdown. That's
okay.
Just wave after wave.
So obviously the opposite applies to the DXY. A lower low, which we agree 100%. I mean, I see nothing bullish here. Then perhaps some type of a recovery, and then we see what type of recovery we get to decide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, this I'm looking here on dollar index as a potential completion of WXY complex correction. But it can also be maybe, if I move this wave for here, this current drop, as you can see here on the left, could also maybe transform like
an ending diagonal
for wave 5.
Yes.
I mean, like a wedge. So we will see what happens.
That's a probability, yeah. But in any case, we should see a lower low.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's take a look now on Euro Pound. Okay.
Euro Pound has been very technical, to be honest, and I agree with you. I think we have found a low there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very beautiful reaction here from this triple point support. Not only that, we also reverse higher from the lower parallel trend line support, and this looks like a morning star formation.
It is actually.
Yeah, you have a.
I mean, it is dependent of what is going to happen. It is a morning star formation. I mean, it's
and look how Grega cleaned out the lows in August before it turned. You know, there were a lot of stops there.
Yes. So whenever you have this kind of a signal of a reversal at the important levels, I think that this signal is even more important to tell you in which direction we should go. It would be totally different story if we would be just chopping around here. But since we have, after this doji, have a very strong day and completely erase the previous losses, it's obviously the case.
And look at the 2.5 days that have followed. I mean, the pullback after that is, clearly just a consolidation, right?
You have these inside days, this inside bar. But the confirmation for this, if maybe some are
breaking through the channel
candlesticks, of course, is the confirmation for a Morningstar formation would be a break above the previous candle of this last candle that formed this Morningstar, meaning you have to see a break above 0.9 level. This is
and the channel.
Yes, of course, this would probably lead to a broken channel and more upside, I think, could be coming. Now, looking at the Elliott wave structure away from that low, you have a very nice clean 5 waves up. Looks like that you have 3 waves down here. Now, bears are already have some issues here. They are not looking impulsive. So I think that just another evidence that sooner or later we will maybe jump towards higher prices. Of course, the 61.8% would be ideal support, but higher is the support means that bulls are even stronger.
You have an upside objective?
The upside objective, I would be looking for our retracement back towards 90.65 as a first target.
Okay.
I think we're going to be seeing a higher high, but whatever. I was showing the exact same chart at the end of last week, Grega, because I was looking at the same things you're looking, the Morningstar formation where we found a low, the channel. I think it's one of the best trades out there at the moment, especially considering that you don't have to get involved with the dollar and what's going to happen with risk.
Yeah. What about the Brexit?
I think that actually the Brexit can get this hitting your targets much faster than you would expect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the risk reward is very, very good. So even if you're wrong, you know, you,
Yeah, and
you
in
have
this
a very
point,
limited
yes.
exposure, right?
Yes. And what is the most important is probably timing, and definitely you need to have volatility whenever you want to make money, and that's definitely sooner or later will come here on this year.
Steve, your risk is if you get a proper headline, positive headline, Brexit headline, then it's going to gap. So that's the problem.
Yes.
I mean a good headline, that there is some kind of agreement.
Yes, although if it's not during a weekend, Stelio, I think it's still going to be very manageable. You know what I mean?
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah, but it's where, I mean, whenever I was in doubt, when I had an open trade, I just simply closed it on Friday and I reopened it on Monday if the price was not much of difference.
Yeah, that is also a way you can handle it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look now also on gold.
Yeah, the metals is something that a lot of people pay attention to. I mean, clearly corrective, if you ask me. The only questions that remains to be answered, do we get another low or don't we get another low?
Yeah, I think we get it. We will get it. I mean, I am looking here for trying to put just very simple wave count here together. I mean, it was a very strong drop here back in August. And since then, if you look closely, we are just moving sideways. We haven't seen much of a downside after taking these August lows out. So I think that this is just temporary support here. That could be taken out very soon if we consider that last week that was a very strong drop, and clearly it shows us that bears are much stronger, because we also are seeing only temporary and slow recovery here away from this November 09 level. So I think that this represents wave E as a part of running triangle, and that wave C could come in the cards here. And I still think that 1800 is a very nice support. Let me just bring this chart on. It's still 1800. I have been repeating this for a while now. It represents the lowest level of the current pullback from the highs when comparing this pullback with the one back from March. So I still think that this is a very interesting potential support for a new turn higher. And if we consider the Elliott wave structure, that if this is really a triangle, then we know that whole pullback should be corrective, because triangle.
I agree with everything you said, with one exception. There are so many people that are looking for 1800, the 1800 to 1820 zone to be support, that it scares me a little bit. So my intuition tells me that yes, there is a very high chance that we're going to see another low. But I think that we might need to take that 1800 level out as well before we actually continue higher, because the market rarely does what so many people expect it to do.
Yeah, but it really depends what kind of a drop is. If you see something like this, like that we have seen back in August, everyone back when the gold was at the highs, everyone said you have to buy pullback, you have to buy pullback. But when they see something like this, very sharp or very strong,
they get scared.
Yeah, exactly. And if something similar will happen again in wave C, which I think it's very possible, I think that you will have to be very, very tough on this one to enter on a falling knife.
Yeah, especially silver tends to do very sharp moves to the downside, and many times, just retrace them.
Yeah, I mean, silver.
So the same question applies here to silver. Is this a symmetrical triangle, or is it the second scenario, which is like one move lower, now a corrective rebound, and another move lower?
Yeah, now it's a little bit tricky, but maybe it's easier for someone who is looking to invest for midterm. Maybe you just scale in positions, you go in here, you go in at lower levels, and whenever we see a pullback, I think that's probably the best play here on the longer term. But for a short term, you definitely have to wait on a.
I think getting the ability to buy silver again in the vicinity of like $20 is going to be a gift, honestly.
Yeah. Let's ask Stelios.
Stelios is selling half the house for $20 silver.
Yeah. Okay, what do we have? Let's take a look on DAX. Okay. Now, DAX has made a very nice, perfect textbook bounce away
Of course,
from
you can have gold and dollar go down together at the same time. As we had gold and dollar go up together, it's not a permanent correlation and it doesn't happen like constantly. But who says that you can have gold and dollar down at the same time? You absolutely can.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yes, and it was.
Yeah,
it
you
was the
absolutely
case.
can for short periods of time. You absolutely can.
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, it's not tick by tick.
Yes. I mean, if you look at a long-term chart, yes, there is an inverse correlation. There's no question about it. But there are periods that a few day periods that they can move absolutely together. We've seen that multiple times. We see that almost every year for, short periods of time.
Yeah.
Especially if you get like a sharp move lower in stock markets.
Like a week ago last Monday, didn't that happen? The dollar wasn't
we have
strong when gold broke
$100, Dale, no need to overanalyze. We've had plenty of examples. I mean, if you go back to a chart, you'll see plenty of examples.
That's what I do. Overanalyze.
Yeah, to be honest,
Wait,
that's what
want
we
me
all
to
do.
change now?
Okay, let's take a look on DAX. Well, here on DAX, I think that we are going to see more upside after this pullback into these support levels. We retraced for a 38.2%. We have seen a very strong bounce above this trend line. So I think that more upside is coming. It's a clear impulsive reaction. And what I'm looking at, hoping it will happen, is that we get this ABC setback to fill this November 09 gap. In such case, we could also form potential right shoulders of potential bullish head and shoulders interpretation here. So if current resistance levels will hold here up from September levels and this October level, if we get a reversal here in 3 waves to fill this gap, I think that this head and shoulders formation could be just another evidence besides looking at the Elliott wave structure.
Yeah, we're having a look at the DAX, which is really interesting, but why don't we visit also the S&P, which, let's be honest, it is the barometer for risk.
We will. Okay, so the S&P 500, I'm observing 2 interpretations here on, let me just move on a daily charts. That's not the right one. Okay. So the first one is still that we completed this running flat correction and that we are headed higher towards much higher prices, but possibly after a pullback, after retracement. Okay. Now looking at the 4-hour chart here, maybe this retracement is still ongoing because it was a very sharp drop here, reversal last week. So it's only 1 leg, but for corrections, you
and
need
it's 1 more missing.
Yes, exactly. So I'm considering that maybe support is going to be seen here are the former wave 4. So this level could easily be triggered, in my opinion.
We're 34 and a half, Grega?
Yes, 34.60 around there, yes.
Thank
and
you, buddy.
also, if maybe suddenly we just go lower much more aggressively than I think, then maybe I will have to pull discount on, which is actually that flat correction from September highs is still unfolding. In such case, 3200 is the support you should be watching again. So, but
and a lot of people are going to be getting trapped at the wrong direction again there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very important support. And with this type of a structure with only 3 waves towards new highs, if we drop from here, I would definitely have to consider the bullish interpretation.
Yeah, but as you said, 1 day at a time. So let's first see if the left scenario plays out on the 4-hour chart. Yeah, before we can, determine the longer term structure there. Yes.
Exactly.
Grega, crude about to break to new highs as well, I'm assuming, huh?
Yes, I'm looking here for a completed ABC correction.
Me too.
But there was a lot of volatility recently here on crude oil. So maybe we'll just slow down for a deeper correction, maybe more complex one here on the lower
And
time
then higher,
frames,
huh?
and then higher. Yes, I just think that this crude oil will also now take a little bit of breather after it's clearly known that world is going into these lockdowns, not only in Europe, probably in US as well. So I think that this will also impact crude oil maybe to slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Dale, do we have an interview today?
Yes,
Who do we have?
Julia Cordova at
Is
Cordova
Julia here?
Trades. Yes, she is.
Okay, then I will
Okay.
pass you the screen.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gregor. Always nice to have your input here. And
Yeah, thanks, Wizard.
And everybody, you know where you can find Gregor's work. You know, he's our Elliott wave specialist. So
Wife,
you know, every morning he posts all these charts.
You're his Elliot wife.
Yeah, you're my Elliott wife.
It's a beautiful thing. All right, thank you, Gregor. Julia, I
Gregor.
see you.
Enjoy.
Steve, thank you. I'm going to get you set up, Julia.
Thank you, Dale.
Welcome back to Face, Julia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Julia. Yes, welcome back.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. Do you remember how to share the screen in Zoom?
No, but I'll figure it out. I can figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, it's that green box.
It's like, it's showing me a thing. Okay.
Green bottom
Sure.
share screen.
There you go.
You see?
Yep. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with S&Ps, Julia, and your charts are so unique. You know, you have about Eric tweeting all in, Eric's all in, Eric. What's Eric doing today? Besides,
You know,
go ahead.
I'm going to miss Eric a lot if we don't have him anymore. That's going to be sad for me. I'm going to have to find new indicators.
He's not going anywhere.
That's true. That's true.
He'll be around. So, you know, we've had some, you know, some major events. We had the vaccine news a week ago from Pfizer and yesterday from Moderna. We have contested, really isn't contested, just no transition of power happening here in the U.S. And I'm looking at the S&Ps up here and I'm wondering, what does Julia see here?
Well, you know, I try not to pay attention to the news, but you know, and just look at the charts. But to me, this looks toppy AF. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's you know, it tried to get higher again than this candle wick, and it just hasn't been able to do it. I mean, you know, RSI isn't loading right now, so I can't look at it. Okay. But I mean, yeah, I think it looks super toppy. And I mean, we won't have confirmation on it, I think, until a daily close below my kind of doctor's bag line again.
Oh, I like that. That's where the bulls will have to call an ambulance.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Under 3,400.
Yeah, that's where they're going to have to get the initial checkup. Like, oops, like feeling ill, can't, you know, can't breathe well, you know, that kind of thing. And then, yeah.
What are the dotted blue lines up on top that we're slightly above right now?
That is Eric's measured move of rightness from any one of his tweets.
I see.
So, yeah. So when he tweeted here, I took his, so Eric went all in here and I did a measured move of rightness, this bear flag. He was right to be all in for, you know, some period of time.
A few days,
Yeah, exactly. So I took the high low of the hour in which he tweeted and then I created a measured move of rightness from the next time that he tweeted so that I could, and you know, isn't it weird how it works pretty well? I mean, I don't know.
It is weird.
It is weird. It is. It's got to be something that doesn't have to do with his tweeting. But Yeah, so that's what those dashed lines are. And
Maybe there's an Eric Algo.
I'm,
What do you think?
I'm irreverent about, sorry?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't been following the ES chart. I mean, everybody does ES, and so it's like boring to me now, like a little bit.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, it's been pretty range bound. You have any view on NASDAQ? I mean, there has been a little rotation, and if you don't follow, you're tired of that. Okay, so there's NASDAQ. S&P's made new highs,
yeah,
and NASDAQ failed to do so.
correct.
So what are you thinking?
So this is the weekly chart for the NASDAQ, and so I have a slope that means a lot to me. I don't know if it means a lot to anybody else or even anything else, but anyway, so basically this weekly pattern it has is to sort of stay within these channels, break out, come back, retest whatever the last channel value was, and this time it went 2 down for the pandemic, and then it goes back above. So this last time that we have sort of a peak, my own theory is the longer it stays above this line, the more likely it is to actually come down and get a little bit below it even. But what I'm looking for is a retest of this weekly channel line. And I think the longer it takes to get to it, the more I'm going to be a little bit concerned that it might come down 2 levels.
But, and why is that? Because there'd be even more distribution, which
yes.
means a more powerful slide, because there's more selling, insider selling, commercial selling that would make the bigger the formation, the bigger the move, right?
Yeah.
Is that
And
why?
I don't even honestly know why. It's just I don't.
I know you don't.
I mean, nobody knows, right? Because those people, I feel sorry for the people that have to write the financial articles and just
they have to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like now it's up on vaccine, or it's up on Vaccine Hopes. It's down on They just, I mean, they must have just a list of reasons, and then they kind of just choose them randomly out of a hat, and then they put them in. I mean,
easier to report than trade, though, Julia. So don't feel too sorry for them.
Oh, that's true. Well, I mean, but I do though, actually, because sometimes I use them as contraindicators. If I see, it's up on, investors look for tech bargains. I'm like, ruh-roh. That's
okay. So your purple line, I'm interested in it. It's parallel to the other channel that you had. There's no other anchor point. You know what? You're very intuitive. So was it just because it was parallel to another channel that you drew that purple line?
Yeah. So what I do is I look for slopes that investing.com is really screwy right now. So whatever, but I look for slopes that you're looking at these like, what? This is a terrible line. Anyway, I look for slopes that mean something to me. And then usually if I can find a good sloped line, I can move it around anywhere on the chart and it makes sense. Now, nothing's perfect, right? Of course it's not perfect. In fact, I was talking to Rico the other day, and this part wasn't on the interview I did with him, but he said something really smart that is basically like this is, no matter what anyone says, there is art involved in charting. This is not a pure science. Because at any one point, a chart is simply a reflection of the psychology of the market. It is like basically charting someone's psychology, which people can be very predictable, but at any given time, there is a lot of random noise happening in someone's brain. And I feel the same way about the market. It can be predictable, but at the same time, there's random noise happening. So there is art involved. So what I do is I try to find the sciencey part of what algos respect with regards to slopes, because they're just programmed that way. And I mean, see, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's perfect enough for me. And And it just seems like this slope is very well respected and it needs to be back tested. And the longer it's not, by the way, this is not the most beautiful top I've ever seen in my life. It looks a little like crappy, huh? Like this wasn't either, but it's not, I mean, this is not, we don't have like a signal here other than these huge, we have these huge wicks that mean more than huge wicks down here because they're a bigger percentage, right? So we have these huge wicks, and it is actually looking, now that I look at it, it does kind of look like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, the trading about it not being a science, the art of it is when, not the if. So, I mean, everything is the timing. And I think charting also is intuitive. Like people ask me, well, Dale, how do you draw your lines? And I answer with my imagination.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a creative aspect to it. And, there is something there. NASDAQ did not make a new high while S&Ps have made a couple successive new highs, which I haven't seen happen for a while. So that's an interesting look. Any other instruments that are on your radar that you have a pretty high degree of conviction that you want to talk about?
Oh, well, I think a lot of people probably want to talk about silver. This is also a weekly chart. There's nothing, it's not the most beautiful chart in the world, but I heard your other guests talking about silver and it looks just like a ginormous, it's consolidation. It looks just like a ginormous flag still, a pennant flag, whatever. But I'm actually looking for a pretty significant drop in all the precious metals. But that's just me being greedy, I think, because I sold near the top. I mean, I sold near the top of silver. I know that, Rico, I think, sold near the top of gold, but I'm just being greedy because I can, because I sold up here. So I'm either waiting for a breakout or I'm waiting for something that would shake a lot of retail investors who now think that they're very safe because they're not.
Is Rico's last name Rizzo?
No.
Do you know who Rico Rizzo is?
I do not, but I just laughed as if I did.
Okay. Well, watch Midnight Cowboy. It's an oldie but goodie.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Al Pacino.
Oh, I should know this.
And John Voight.
Oh, all right. I wrote it down.
All right, Midnight Cowboy. Rico Rizzo. Anyway, so to me it looks like a flag, and we're kind of working that uptrend line and fading. And you know what? I've done that too. Sometimes we see things with the bias of what we want to do. So you want to buy it at 20 or 1960.
Yeah, I sure do. I wanted to scare the bejesus out of some people, and I want to see people going, whoa, but
would you buy a breakout over 2710 if that doesn't happen?
Oh, I sure would. Yeah.
Okay.
I did not bottom catch the silver. I didn't buy it down here. I bought it, I think, right here. So I did. I bought it on this breakout, and I think I tweeted, I'm like reluctantly, I'm buying it on this breakout because I wanted it.
You have great sound
I wanted
effects
it down
too.
here. Oh, yeah. I wanted it down here, but I was like, I'm buying this breakout. Well, I was upset about it because that's my thing is bottom catching. I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I mean, did I care that I didn't catch it after I started? Hello. Nope, didn't care about that.
Yeah, you know what? That's a lesson, Julia, because I know I used to, if I wasn't there for a turn, I say, oh, shoot, I missed it. But you haven't missed it because you're not short from the high or long from the low. That's just, in fact, you had more evidence to be long.
Right.
When you got long, you had more confirmation instead of just, I think this is the bottom.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. And I guess in trading school, Like, I don't know. They
Yeah.
they tell you to wait for confirmation, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
You following anything in the fiat currency world?
No. Well, you mean like
No currency, like
Fixies?
euro or dollar or anything there?
Yeah, I have a dollar chart. I don't actually trade it though. I just look at it from
Okay.
other
Sure looks
people.
ugly, huh? Does it look ugly, or are we going to go to your champagne glass up there?
Well, you know
Back
what?
to
So I was wrong about this, but I think that comes from some bias. I actually thought it would go back here before it came down here. Right about here when it was consolidating, I was like,
yeah,
maybe it'll do a little inverse head and shoulders thing. And it's interesting because it did actually the same way that I wanted two head and shoulders on the NASDAQ, you know, that got screwed up, but this
yeah.
same thing got screwed up. So that's interesting. Clearly they're related, but at the same time, I don't know that one is so leading ahead of the other that you could, you know, if one was predictive of the other, why even chart the other? They're all just together.
Let me ask you this: when's the last time you saw Head and Shoulders formation manifest and work?
Oh, on the hourly charts, a lot of times they are the first signal of any change if it follows through. I had one.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is I didn't actually tweet about it, but there was one that was forming on the NASDAQ. I kind of subtweeted about it. I'm like, if it is one, this is the top of the shoulder. But I never tweeted about it because I had a feeling it wasn't going to happen. It's weird. I try to, not that I know, but it was weird. I just didn't, I had a feeling something would go screwy with it. Unfortunately, but yeah, they work.
Okay.
I think they work.
I see a lot of them fail because they're so recognizable.
That's true.
You know.
Yeah.
That's I want to believe them, but the jadedness in me says, everyone's seen that, and I've seen shoulders fail so many times. But yeah, I mean, it's still valid, and maybe you have to just wait for the breakout instead of trying the shoulder prior to the breakout, which is, I like to hear the ice crack. I want to get a lead or an edge on a formation. So, okay, so what do you think? Dollar collapse coming? We're sitting right here at this one of your lines.
Yeah, it is sitting right here. So this is again an example of me taking so I had these two different slopes that I was watching for the longest time. And then initially this slope actually, I mean, it was like, I looked super smart for just a little bit of time because this slope had the bounce. But then when it broke through this green slope, I had to add this pink slope in, and now the pink slope is holding it. So right now it is hanging on by a freaking thread, and it's at RSI support. So, that's good for it, but it is hanging on by a freaking thread.
Better dig its heels in here, or 90.
Or else.
Yeah.
Or else, right? Okay. It's got a lot of room to go too before this next RSI support if it goes through. And it's, I mean, I don't know where price support is here. I'd have to really go back and look. I don't know, when was the last time the dollar was okay, so it was in 2000, where
so here 2016.
18, and then it would, ew.
There are awful lot of bears. That's one of the only things, but they could be right for a while. They could be right for a long time.
Yeah. So another thing I learned from talking to, other traders was that, so yeah, it looks like crap, but so do all the other currencies. So one of them will have to not be crap, right? Yeah. Or I don't know, maybe Bitcoin is the one that's not crap, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other commodities that you're watching? Do you keep an eye on oil?
I do. Yeah. I have been bullish oil and a little bit bearish gold for a month or so, I think. I don't remember exactly, but Yeah, so I am watching oil here for a weekly close above 42.16. I think that'll be good confirmation. And
Okay.
also at that time, it'll be above all of these. I mean, it's already above all the MAs that are important on the weekly level. It just has to not, you can even go down, you know, to 39 and change, or even actually it can go down all the way, I think, to about here. It looks like. I'm just doing this in my
Okay.
head. Yeah,
Right.
so it can go down all the way to 38.22 and I'd still be like bullish. So
Okay.
yeah, I think that it would be a surprising thing to have oil go up and equities go down. But I think that it's not something that, I mean, it's something that can definitely happen. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
That would be maybe a geo event. I know I read this on my email that President Trump was actually thinking about bombing Iran a week ago. I actually had a bet with someone that he would, but you know, anyway. So higher energy prices might be spurred by something geopolitical. I know I could see your charts above. What's your
Yeah.
view on natural gas?
Okay. Well, that's
The widow maker.
it is very hard to trade. I will tell you, I was long overnight and then I sold it this morning and then I was glad I sold it and then I was mad that I sold it. So anyway, I actually have a buy order in today at around, I think I put it in right under here, under this MA, under the 50. I think it's 50. Let me just check. Yeah. I put it in right about 265 or so, or yeah,
Okay.
here, because and it could bounce. It could do something similar to what it did here, where it just doesn't do much today. It gives the bulls a little bit of a break. It gives the bears, you know, some hope for continuation, and then the next day might be the day that it does something special. But yeah, I don't know. I have a buy order in down here.
Okay. And what is JO? You have a JO chart
JO
up there.
is coffee. And speaking of Head and Shoulders, I
Oh,
know
okay.
I'm doing a big chart crime here
Yeah.
because Head and Shoulders are supposed to be like topping or bottoming patterns, and this certainly
Yeah.
doesn't. Yeah, I know it's a chart crime.
No,
I don't even
no,
care.
people use them for continuation formation. So,
They
you
do.
know,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
I've
Yeah.
read
Oh,
about
all right. I don't know.
it. Yeah. Let
Yeah.
me ask you this, Julia, charts aside,
Yes.
how do you maintain a good frame of mind and remain positive through the, you know, the mental challenges of trading?
You know, that is a really good question. And you know, there are a lot of people on Twitter that are super supportive and that really can just, you know, sometimes everybody needs to hear what you already know over again. So when you're having a bad day or if you're trading poorly or something, I find a lot of
Love?
love. Yeah, love. And just
You
people
can
saying,
say
well,
it. It's not
okay.
illegal to say the word in America anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Love. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So even though it's virtual,
Even though
love.
it's virtual, I feel like I have an online family a little bit.
Okay.
And
All right.
yeah, they're just really nice and supportive, and also though they don't let each other get away with anything too. They're like, well, you know, they it's like tough love sometimes. You know, when I was short the Nasdaq, when it was a bit higher, people were like, you know, please stop doing that, and they were doing it out of a place of love. Like
Right.
it was not like you don't know what you're doing. Or maybe it was, I don't know. But they were just like, please don't do that. Like, please, then we'll feel better about it. But anyway,
What a
yeah.
great testimonial for traders to belong to a community. Because, you know, communities commune and share and lift up each other and share ideas and mastermind. And I'm such a big believer. I think that's probably the best part of social media when it came to the trading community is that like-minded people could gather, share, and support each other. And we only have two eyes. Let me ask you this. Do you get ideas from people in your community that if they hadn't pointed it out, you wouldn't have seen it?
Oh my gosh, yeah, constantly. Yeah,
Oh,
constantly. I have some brilliant followers that they're unbelievable, and yeah, they'll show me a chart of something. I'm like, ooh, I like that. That is good. But none of us think the same, which is also great. So
yeah, I mean, have you ever noticed probably the people that you interact with have different methodologies? They might use Elliot, you use champagne glasses, and Eric Trump. And, that when different methods are pointing towards the same outcome, does it build your conviction about the idea?
It does. Yes, 100%. 100%. I mean, I love Soccer Mom, and she uses, I don't even know what kind of bands they are. Bollinger bands, I think. I'm not sure. There's like all sorts of wavy bands going on. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really interesting if I have a conviction and somebody else has the same conviction, how we got there, and then also how we're going to change our mind if we're not correct. Like it's completely different. So
Hey,
that's
Julia, so I know that people could follow your work and become part of the Cordova clan, trading clan on Twitter at Cordova Trades. I also know that you have a pretty active YouTube channel. What's the best way for our viewers, listeners that are watching us live and then see the video later to get a hold of you? And how are you and your community members communicating? Is it by Twitter? Do you have a chat room? How are you doing it?
Just by Twitter. I don't have a service or anything. I don't sell anything. My videos are free. My Twitter's free. So just Twitter or YouTube. I'm pretty accessible.
And how are you dealing with pandemic fatigue?
Yeah, I've started now going out to restaurants or taking my mom, like going out once a week, and just eating outside. So that's what I'm trying to do, to be somewhat normal, but also to be still very cautious.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Well, it sucks.
Yeah. Okay. So we could say love and we could say it sucks, because you know what? It's my show. So anyway, Julia, it's always a pleasure to have you here, and you're such a unique, intuitive trader. And I hope that you and your loved ones remain untouched and that you have a great fall trading season. And
thank you, Dale.
We'll do it again down the line.
I appreciate it.
Okay, everyone, Julia Cordova. Let's look for, so you could follow her at Cordova Trades, and maybe she'll introduce you to Soccer Mom and some of the people that she exchanges ideas with. And she really is a unique personality trader on FinTwit. Thank you, Julia, for edifying our community today.
Thank you.
We love you here at FaZe. See? Love.
Love you back.
All right. So that's a wrap for Turnaround Tuesday, everyone. Have a great session, and we'll see everyone tomorrow. Thank you again, Julia, my trading warrior sister. And remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Adios.